fastest show in sports.
Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. 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 Holy sweet mother of Mary Banana, am I so happy that this is over. I mean, this has been running things in sports at every sports outlet for the last couple of months or so here. I mean, Lane Kiffin, Lane Kiffin. The stranglehold that this has placed on college football and the general news cycle itself is astounding. I haven't seen anything like this in decades of covering college football. I'm glad it's over. But it's not. This is really just the beginning. What Lane Kiffin, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida, everybody higgledy-piggledy is involved in here, it's really just the starting point of where we're going in college football right now. You would hope that this would be the end of it. We'd never have to hear it again. Lane Kiffin will go to LSU. He'll do whatever he's going to do there. Ole Miss will move on. Gators will move on, and everything will be happy. No. Stop right there. This is truly a watershed moment in college athletics. It's not like everything's going to change from here on out, because everything has already changed. But what it's giving us is that deep dish look into what college football has now become, what it will be from this moment forward for the rest of recorded time. At least for the rest of the time I'm here, and I'm hoping I'm never going to have to do an entire 2-3 months on Lane Kiffin ever again. But it's where we are. College football is the greediest, most money-hungry, most profitable, most filled with sharks and egotists and egomaniacs out of any sport anywhere. And it's what we've made it. The college football fan has demanded this. You have demanded that the players get paid. You have, because you want your players to stick around. And you want your teams to be able to get the great players and not have to sit around just waiting and recruiting. You're the reason why coaches make $15, $20, $30 billion a year. Because you want a winner, you got to have a winner. Oh my God, we got to have a winner more than anything else. If we don't have a winner, I'm going to go ahead and leave. My God, oh my goodness, we've only won 9 games. We got to win 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You've made it such. And it's not ever going away. Ever again. This is the reality. First, let's deal with Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is just like every other coach, really. Well, that's not fair to say. Lane Kiffin is a coach in his own little bubble, but there's a few others that are really like him. He's a narcissist. He's an egomaniac. He's a liar without question. He's greedy. He doesn't give one shit in Shinola about any player, anywhere, anytime. As the head coach of what is basically a semi-pro football team, he doesn't give a damn about the players. He doesn't consider them. Education? What does he care? Just play the game. And as a matter of fact, Lane Kiffin is another one of the current breed of coaches that doesn't even know probably who half his players are. What do you think they bring in all these assistants for now? These are the guys who take care of things. It's not the head coach. Yeah, he rubber stamps things every now and then. But it's not like Lane Kiffin sits there like every other coach, or any other coach for that matter, and says, we're going to do this, we're going to play this, we're going to do this, our defense is going to be this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. No, that's what they hire coaches for. That's what they hire assistant coaches for. He's a lout. He's a cur. He's just the kind of individual that deserves no respect whatsoever. But he's wanted. He's wanted because he has that aura of winning. And look, when you look at Kiffin's record overall, It's not anything that you go, oh boy, this is a future college football Hall of Famer. This is a guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. I mean, if you look at it, he bombed out with the Oakland Raiders. He was terrible there. He was 4-12 in one season, and even Al Davis said he was a liar. And then he goes to Tennessee. One season. What does he do in Tennessee? Oh, he really cares about the players in the program there. 7-6 in one season, and he's out the door. Then he moves on again. Now he goes to USC. Now here's a program where they really expect a lot, but they're not going to get a lot because USC has not been a great program for quite some time. He goes there for 4 seasons. He goes 28-15, and he gets fired at Los Angeles International Airport. He gets fired in a room there. Basically, they had enough. So then he pulls a stunt. He goes to Alabama. He says, I'm going to review your offense for a year. So he's basically an assistant coach. He's hired to come in. He's trying to burnish up his reputation. All right? He failed in Oakland. He left Tennessee. All the good he did there for all the players, right? He left USC. He was fired there because he couldn't win the big games. Remember that. Remember that phrase, couldn't win the big games. Okay, we'll get to that as well. He goes to Alabama. And while he's at Alabama, while he's still working there, he takes the job at Florida Atlantic University. And then he has the balls to go to USC and say, well, I'd like to stick around during the postseason here, and I'd like to... No, you took another job. You're not going to stay here. You're not going to poach. You're not going to take coaches with you or players with you. You're employed by somebody else. So he goes to FAU. Remember that whole thing about shaking it down and trying to go back again. We'll deal with that as well. So he goes to FAU, 3 seasons, takes a program that was absolutely nowhere. I mean, Howard Schnellenberger was the guy who started that program, and they were a nice, tidy, soft little program, but they wanted to grow. They got to grow because they want to make the money like everybody else. So they needed somebody to come in who would have some kind of a name value, who would at least come in and make them respectable. Kiffin comes in and does that. He goes 26-13. He puts them in bowl years. He actually comes out and does the right thing. Yeah, they're minor bowls, but he gets them to succeed. And he's got a 10-year deal. After everything happens, he gets 10 years. And he says, I'm staying here. I'm not going. Bullshit. As soon as Lane Kiffin said, I'm never going to go anyplace else, or I'm never going to look anyplace else, I turned to a friend of mine. I said, you give him 3 years, he's gone. And I was right. 3 years, he's gone. He goes to Ole Miss. Now, let's slow down a little on Ole Miss, okay? The people at Ole Miss are not going to want to hear this. But if you are truly an Ole Miss fan, supporter, backer, booster, whatever it is, you're going to agree with me. You're going to have to agree with me. You can't say I'm wrong. Because until Lane Kiffin got there, Ole Miss was a doormat program. It was that program in the SEC that other schools like the Floridas and the Georgias and the LSUs couldn't wait to get on their schedule because they knew it was a gimme. Yeah, the coaches are always going to say they're going to do good, they're going to do great, they're going to be a good team. Nonsense. This was a school and a football program that was looked down upon by every single person in the SEC because they were always hanging around the bottom, doing a little bottom feeding there. So you weren't that good. You weren't. But that's not to say that you didn't become good. You didn't become something. And a good part of it was Kiffin. Not only that, but a good part of it was the transfer portal, NIL, so many other things that allow you to bring in really good players. And when you've got players getting better across the country, if they can't get to Florida, they can't get to LSU, can't get to Georgia, can't go someplace else in the SEC, they go to Ole Miss. They got Kiffin, who's got a name. So Kiffin comes in and makes you a winner. 3-2 in bowl games. 55-19 record. Holy spit in the morning. Ole Miss became respectable and became good. So don't tell me that you owe something to this guy. You do. 11-1 this year. Ole Miss is on the doorstep of contending for a national championship. Think about that. That doesn't even sound right. Coming out of my mouth, being somebody who's been around college athletics for 4 decades. That does not sound right to me, that Ole Miss has a chance to win a national championship. But it's great. It's marvelous. It's wonderful. We applaud you. We want you to get that chance. And you've got it. But here comes Kiffin again. Few seasons there, I got happy feet. Because he's greedy. He's greedy. He's one of the greediest sons of bitches that ever crossed the paths in college football. And meantime, he's got all of his buddies at ESPN and all of his enablers saying, oh, give him a chance. Lane Kiffin's really a nice guy. I met Lane Kiffin, and he's really a good guy. You know why? I shook his hand, and all 5 fingers came back. He is a guy who doesn't give a shit about anybody save for Lane Kiffin. That's it. End of story. Ole Miss, let's just talk for a minute, okay? Lane doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anything that goes on at Oxford. He doesn't care. He honestly doesn't care if you win or lose this potential national championship. Doesn't care. Doesn't care if you had a chance at the SEC title. College football playoff? He doesn't care. And here's a note to every single one of you players on Ole Miss, all right? And I want you to write this down. Put it on the inside of your eyelids so you never forget to see it. Lane Kiffin doesn't care about you. He doesn't care whether you win or lose. He doesn't care if you succeed. He doesn't care if you go to the NFL. So I've got people now saying, oh, look out. Players from Ole Miss are going to be following him to LSU. Why? He basically left you in a lurch. He doesn't care. He split before the championship, before the playoff. Not even one game. You know why? Because LSU dangled the money. Could LSU have waited? Likely. What are they going to do? I mean, if they really wanted him, they'd wait. They'd give him a chance to maybe win a national championship. But you see, that would kick up his price, and they'd have to pay more for him. So they wanted him now, so they get him for a price. A fat price, if you will. But Lane doesn't care about you, Ole Miss. He never did. He never cared about Tennessee. He never cared about USC. Never cared about Alabama. Never cared about FAU. All he cared about was himself and getting his money, which he has. Lane Kiffin is a multi-millionaire, like so many of his fellow coaches. He doesn't need the money, but they want it. They'll take it because it's greedy. It's there, baby. I'm going to take it and feed my family. What, you can't feed your family on $1 million? What the hell's wrong with you? How much money do you need? As much as he can get, damn it. And if LSU's sitting there and they're going to cough it up, he'll take it. And that's exactly what he did. He used Ole Miss. He made himself powerful. He made himself worth $10, $12, $17 million. And you guys, goodbye. And now, I really hope that Ole Miss gets into the college football playoff. I hope they beat the absolute snot out of anybody that they play, although it looks like they may get Ohio State. But it doesn't make a difference to me. I'm rooting for Ole Miss. Big time. I'm rooting for Ole Miss to get in there and just get a shot. It would be such beautiful poetic justice if at the end of the day, Lane Kiffin goes to LSU and Ole Miss goes on to contend for a national championship. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I do not think you'll see Ole Miss in a national championship game. There's other teams out there that are better, more powerful, better players. But anything can happen. But imagine, if you will, for just a moment, how beautiful the irony would be if they do go ahead and move on without this slug who doesn't give a crap about the program, the players, the fans, anybody, just to win the championship. Magnificent. But let's then dig into something else. Why should we expect Lane Kiffin or anybody else to care about the school, the players, the town, the city, the fans? Why? This comes down again to this ridiculous, absolutely foolish notion of loyalty. People going, Lane Kiffin didn't show us any loyalty at Ole Miss. Well, he sure as hell didn't show any loyalty for Tennessee. He sure didn't do it for FAU. He sure didn't do it at other places he's been. So what in the name of Sweet Megillah makes you think that he would be all of a sudden righteous now? And he would care. I care about the players. What are you, nuts? Are you sick? No, I'm not going to say it. I almost said it. And I think some of you know where I was going with this. But I'm not going to say it because it echoes him, and I'm not going to do that. But there is no loyalty anymore. Because, look, the colleges aren't loyal. I mean, if you want to, look what Tennessee did. Look what USC did. Look what all these other places did. Look what USC did when they fired him. They didn't even let him go back to the college. I mean, universities and college programs fire coaches at will. I've said it before. 3 seasons and you better be good or you're out. And they don't care. They'll just go ahead and fire you. They'll get you out of the way because all they care about is the winning and the money, and if you can't do it, you're out. They're not loyal. Why should anybody else be loyal? And why should players be loyal to a program? They get paid. They're getting money now. If the school can't cough up the cash, and if they can't give them assistant coaches and coaches in a program that will help lead them to more money, more sponsorship money, and a chance at the NFL, which everybody thinks they're going to get, but they're not, why should they be loyal? Move on. And they're doing it right now. There is no loyalty in college football. Stop the bullshit, please. Stop with that. It doesn't exist. And it doesn't exist because in many ways the fans have demanded it. You, the fans, you've demanded your team wins. I don't give a damn what happens, win at any cost. Do I want to be respected? No, I want to win. I want a title. I want a bowl game. I want a trophy. I want a championship. You asked for it and now you're getting it because the colleges are going to give it to you. The boosters are out there. They're just like you. They're fans, but they've got hundreds and millions of dollars that they can spend and they can make a program better. So that's what they're going to do. And they do it all the time. And you're happy. Hey, we're contending now. Coach A, Coach B, player A, get them out. You don't need them because we're going to get better players and we're going to spend more money and we're going to win the championship. You did it. And the press did it as well. All this media coverage, all this hype, all getting in bed, shoveling the money at them so everybody can make a big fat profit. It's all just the way it churns. This is college football today. This is what the sport has become. It is not going back. There is no loyalty. There is no thought about doing the right thing anymore. Yeah, there is at the smaller schools. There is. But at the bigger schools, the power schools, those in the top 30, no. The coaches will move on if they can. They'll take a better job to win. The players will move on if they can because they want to win a championship and they'll make more money. And the schools will continue to hire and fire willy-nilly because you, the fan, demand it, the sponsors demand it, the boosters demand it, the presidents demand it, the athletic directors demand it, the alma mater demands it, everybody demands it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you a winner. And if you got to fire somebody for it, we don't care. Look at that. Lane Kiffin says to schools and players, I don't care. He says to Ole Miss, I don't care. Other schools say, I don't care. It's just the way the sport is going these days, and you got to get used to it.
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.